My dynamic with my parents when it comes to dating is was very touch and go. It was just a no-go zone.
Hey everybody, what's good?
We're back. Oh my goodness, we missed you guys last week. We missed you guys so much, but we cannot believe how many people actually enjoyed the previous episode.
Yes, that was so cool to see. So thanks to everyone who watched, engaged, commented, and a couple questions that came along.
Thank you for those questions, guys.
Love it.
We love it.
Love it.
Love it.
And so glad that we're actually doing something that resonates
and brings value.
So we're really appreciative of that, and we're hoping that as we continue the series of Chats on Sunday, that it will be more relatable content to you.
Yes.
So happy for that.
So happy for that.
Yes. So as you might know, I am Mr. Habster.
And I am Mrs. Habster. And if you are brand new and have come across this channel for the first time, we would love to welcome you. Welcome. We love new faces in this space. We provide faith-based lifestyle content in the form of vlogs, and then we also have this segment that you're currently watching right now, which is called Chats on Sunday, where myself and Mr. Habster discuss the in-between moments or seasons of life. And then there's also occasionally hair care content, and if you think that's the kind of content you enjoy, please do hit that subscribe button and join the family. It is free of charge.
Yes it is. And if you are a new subscriber, perhaps you've come in from seeing the previous episode or from a short, welcome. We hope you enjoy everything you find on this page, and we cannot wait to journey through life with you. So and if you're still just exploring, hit the subscribe button if you feel that this is a home for you. So let's get into it.
And the Habster Nation, and to the Habster Nation. Mr. Habster, how can you forget the Habster Nation?
I'm too hyped up. But yes, the Habster Nation. What it do?
Gang signs. Welcome back, Habster Nation.
Yeah, it's so good to be back.
We love y'all. Without y'all, we would not be here.
All right. Okay. I'm sorry. I've been so hyped up. Can you tell that the energy has been like pent up? So I'm ready.
Let's get into it.
So, as has become the new customary practice, we are now going to get into the icebreakers as provided by you, the Habster Nation. So let's get into it. Madam, I pulled out the last one.
You have to open the jar for me to pull it out, sir.
Sugar is not dead.
Yes.
I don't know how much shaking it's actually going to do, but for formality's sake.
Away from me.
Okay. So what's our question for the day?
No. I know who sent this one. And I was hoping that I get this one because I'm the one who wrote down these questions. This is from a friend of yours who does dad jokes. Okay. How did the Eskimos sell ice to babies?
I don't know. There's an ice lolly.
He sang ice, baby.
Oh my goodness. No. I have no words, but thanks.
Wow. The Eskimo.
So
Sold ice to a baby. How would you have sold ice to a baby? A baby.
I don't even know. Why am I selling ice to a baby? Because I'm on a challenge. Number one.
Number one.
So
Or-
just take what you give.
Or let's say, how would you sell ice to an Eskimo?
I'll go break their house first. I'll go break down the gate.
Smart.
And then I would say, quick repairs. Here's ice. Demand and supply.
It's corrupt, but it's smart. But
Demand
it's
and
corrupt.
supply.
But I get it. There's no other way.
Yeah.
There's no other way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like devices that are made
Yeah.
by the brand whereby there's a bitten fruit. They create problems that only they can solve.
That is true.
When you get the phone and it only has a cable, you need to go buy the head, the charger.
Of the charger.
Where do you get it?
At
their
that store.
So,
And you might potentially need headsets. Where would you get it?
at that store. So, create the problem that only you can solve.
Okay. No, I get it.
Or at least find it. Don't create it, but maybe find it.
Find it.
Yeah, in this case,
Don't be corrupt.
yeah, don't be corrupt. But it is.
Find the
Eskimo.
problem.
Aye.
Funny.
Sorry, guys. So, today we are picking up from our last episode of our dating journey and does God care about dating?
And we hope you gathered from that video that God does care about dating.
Indeed. But before that, just in case you are wondering why I am drinking out of the beautiful cup and Mrs. Habster is drinking out of the handsome cup, I made the hot drinks today, so it was by design. So yeah, the two shall become one. But no, it wasn't accidental. That is because today's topic is about meeting each other's families. So yeah, you see, we're trading.
Yeah.
Trading. So yeah, today we're going to talk about how we met each other's families and touch on a little bit of a dynamic of how then you start the conversation, or how we started the conversation with our parents and extended family,
Yeah.
about our relationship status.
Yeah.
So, Madam,
Yes, sir.
when we actually started dating and we're on the same page, we're all in, how did you envision actually introducing me to your family?
So ideally, I would have loved to introduce you to my family while we were still friends. This was a notion that was introduced to me by the lady that was journeying with me, the same lady who helped me identify what kind of husband I'm looking for, and in turn have that be an introspection for me to evaluate whether I'd be the compatible spouse for that kind of guy. So that same lady, she then said it's great if your family meets your potential boyfriend while you guys are still friends.
Yeah.
Right. But it didn't pan out that way. I think there was only one person who met you while we were still friends, and that was my sister. And that's when we realized that Mr. Habster and my sister look more alike than my sister and I do.
Shout out, Auntie. Scooty.
And also, granted, at that time, she looked more like my mother and my father's sister, whereas I looked more like my father and my father's mother at the time. But we just kept morphing as we grew older. But anyway, I digress. That's how I wanted you to meet the family. And the reason why I wanted you to meet them at a friendship level was because there would have not been any pressure from your side to perform a certain way in order to gain favor. And there wouldn't have been any pressure from their side to expect you to behave a certain way to tick their boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I envisioned, or how I envisioned to introduce you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So on my side,
yeah,
it's quite similar to yours.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay.
It's quite similar to yours in the sense that I didn't wanna say, hi guys, here's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I felt at the time that it would create a bit of a weird dynamic.
Okay.
Them looking at you in a particular lens.
Yes.
Prior to having gotten to know you, know the person that you are.
Yeah.
Firstly, and secondly, it was a bit easier because we were friends at the time that I was telling, particularly my mom.
Okay.
And some of my siblings, some of my cousins. Siblings.
So you're already having conversations with your mom about me while we were still friends.
Correct.
Okay.
So she knew that there is this friend. This is her name. I see her as my twin.
Yes.
You know, her mom's birthday is 3 days apart from yours, and because these are all very fascinating things at the time.
They were. I mean, they still are.
They still are. You know. So yeah, it became easier to say that, you know, this is my friend at the time that we were friends, but also at the time that we were dating, to maintain just a friendship.
Yeah.
That helped a lot.
Yeah. In
introducing you to my family. So yeah, I didn't want to just come in gung ho to say that, hey, here's my girlfriend, deal with it. I didn't.
I would have fainted.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my plan.
Yeah.
Also to just come in from a friendship aspect.
Yeah.
And not necessarily just put on the table dating.
Yeah.
Because that opens other discussions that I don't think I was ready for, or we were ready for
at the time. No, you're right. So just to go back to justifying why I wanted to introduce you as a friend was my hope was for you to meet my parents, and then after them having met you, for me to just have a conversation with them, asking them what they thought about you. What do you think about this guy? And hear their thoughts, and then tell them, yeah, because I sort of kind of like him. We're not dating yet, but like, I like him. And
suitable candidate.
Suitable candidate. And then, yeah, just to start that kind of conversation with them. But it was going to be challenging for us because my parents are in an entirely different province, and for you to even be there would have to have been an event to kind of cater for that, and for Mr. Habster to not be the only friend that comes.
Yes.
That was just going to be very awkward, rocking up there at the event and you're the only friend that I brought. That was going to be very obvious. This has to be the boyfriend. This has to be the boyfriend. But Jasha, where my parents are concerned, unfortunately, they never met you while we were still friends. But luckily, my sister did, and I mean, there was some kind of green light there from my sister because she just loved you from the onset.
Again, thank you, auntie. Thank you, school. Okay, so now that we've established that your parents didn't necessarily meet me.
Yeah.
While we were still friends officially, but after we started dating, you still introduced me as a friend.
I did.
Yeah. So what informed that decision?
Oh my goodness, I'm laughing because our parents keep saying, we skipping. For introducing you like that. Yo guys, my dynamic with my parents when it comes to dating was very touch and go. The first time we ever spoke about boys was in a conversation with my mom when she spoke to my sister and I. So my sister and I were nearing the preteen ages, and she was basically just explaining how our bodies are going to change now. Every month there's something called a period that's going to take place in your body. Don't be scared, it's natural. That's what happens in the female body. It just means that you're growing older and that your body is sort of kind of preparing for when you eventually do get a child. It doesn't mean have a child now. And then she also said that it's coupled with hormonal changes in the body, and so you will start having feelings of liking boys, which is normal. Doesn't mean you should act on it now, because the time for it has not yet we have not reached the time for it yet. You're still young, so it just simply means you are a human being who has feelings for the opposite sex. Nothing more, nothing less, right? That was the introduction that we had about boys. After which, it was just a no-go zone, because I remember praying to the Lord, if indeed I'm meant to be married to the guy that I dated before you, Lord, can I have a conversation with my parents that is very conducive about this dating thing, right? And fam, that conversation went south, right? That conversation ended with them saying, break up with that guy, break up, end that relationship. So it made it hard to bring up any romantic interest conversation with them. That's why I wanted to introduce you to them while we were friends. Because of that.
Yeah.
And because of that, I didn't want it to feel like a setup when you come in, because now you're coming into an already volatile situation. Boys were just a no-go zone.
Yeah.
In our conversations with parents or with my parents.
Sure.
Yeah. And I think also another thing was their stature in the community. My dad's a pastor, he's also a teacher, or now a retired teacher, so he's well known in the neighborhood. Mom is a nurse, also well known because of her job, and I guess their affiliation to each other. So there's some kind of image I needed to uphold as the children of these prominent people in the community. And granted, man, the kind of gents that are there in our neighborhood are not the kind of gents you would want your child to ever be involved with.
Yeah.
But I was not dating those gents. Give the boys I'm trying to introduce you a chance. But no, thank God that didn't. That kind of setting didn't allow me to bring any other guy to them. Yeah, they probably would have just been discouraged, having seen the caliber of guys I dated at the time. But to answer your question, that dynamic is the reason why I wanted to introduce you as a friend.
Yeah.
With guards down from everyone, and then meeting you as a human being, not as someone who comes in with a certain status.
Yeah, or title.
Sure. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that, because now that you're saying it again, it's not the first time we've had this
conversation.
You know?
Yeah.
But now that you're saying it again, I'm quite appreciative of that, because to me it's like, sure, you kind of protected me from previous relationship wrath.
Yes, and you would have been ravaged when it wasn't even your fault.
For something I don't even know.
Exactly.
For a crime I did not commit.
A crime you did not commit.
So I appreciate that. I think that was God-given wisdom, even though maybe at that time it did not have come across as that.
Yes.
God doesn't waste things. So I think this is one of those moments that he did not waste. So I am appreciative of that.
Aww.
Because we're here today.
Hey.
Yeah.
And we love you, son.
Yeah, I love them to bits. Love them to bits.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Speaking of dynamics though, how would you explain your dynamic with your parents?
So I'll give in a general context, and then we'll go into something about like dating in particular.
Yeah.
So I think the friendship aspect between my parents at the time and and it somewhat is, but I think it's getting a bit better. The gap is closing. The friendship aspect, whereby we're able to have more challenging conversations, was stronger with my mom's side than as opposed to my dad. So it became a lot easier to have these awkward conversations with my mom as opposed to with my dad.
What awkward conversations?
So awkward conversations in a traditional sense, dating, marriage, things about like the talk your mom had with your sister and yourself about body changing. That is something that my mom kind of introduced because she's also in the medical field. She's a nurse, so logically she's more knowledgeable about what happens in the body at certain ages and blah blah blah. Not to say that my dad didn't, but because of the closeness that I had with my mom, she kind of introduced the fact that there's changes, there's things like this, attraction, blah blah blah. We didn't get too deep into it.
Oh no, you never do. We also never went too deep into it.
Yeah, but it was summer.
Just a recognition that you're a human being and your body will change, and that's it.
Summer.
Yeah.
But yes. So those are awkward conversations. I never quite spoke relationships with my mom until like much later.
Really?
Similarly with my dad.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't picture you having a conversation with your dad.
Yeah.
He's a very stoic.
Yeah. So
old traditional.
Very traditional.
Black man.
So we're very different in our ways of thinking. Whereas with my mom, I think we're very similar in our ways of thinking. So talking relationships came in much later. I think towards the end of high school. I mentioned a relationship at the time.
Okay.
But again, it wasn't in depth.
Okay.
So, but there wasn't a wrath or an angry response.
Yeah.
There were a few questions here and there.
Okay.
But it was received much better than what I thought.
Wow.
So that means that by the time I spoke to her about our relationship, there was a bit more of a trust factor.
The ice was already broken.
Yeah, the ice was already broken, and there was a bit of trust to kind of catch the discussion.
Yeah.
So that was the dynamic between the two parents. Although I did not want to outright come to her to say that, hey, I'm in a relationship, it's over. I'm in a relationship, it's over.
Yeah.
I do think there was a level of what I felt was respect to say that I only want to bring this to her attention when there's a solid intention for it being a serious relationship, that even if she does ask questions, there'd be a conviction. It's not just this airy-fairy, hi, now you're just bringing whoever here.
Every day there's a new potential couple. I feel like she'd be tired.
Yeah.
She'd be tired to even want to invest in a relationship with all these different girls.
Yeah. And knowing her, she is one to take keen interest in my relationships, mainly friendship wise, because she knows a whole host of my friends, people that are still friends with me to this day. She knows about them. She's met majority of them, and she's she rejoices in their winnings and cries with them when there's issues like that. So she's very invested in the relationships because she knows what kind of impact relationships have on my thinking and how that shapes me. So that was the dynamic between the parents. But anyway, that does feed into why I wanted to say there's a friend, because I know that it opened a doorway for her to come to know you just as a person, even though we were dating. But there is a time where I did tell her.
I mean, at some point you had to tell her. At some point you had to know. But I appreciate your mom's approach. Or let me say, that's my mother-in-law, guys.
Love. Yeah.
That's my mother-in-law. Okay. I appreciate her approach to it because it creates or it fosters a safe space, an environment for a safe space. It allows for you to basically tell her where your mindset is at that time, for her to understand where you are and where to meet you or how she can meet you where you are as well. And yeah, Shem, I also wanna, I guess, highlight that our parents are exposed to different things. They grew up in different eras, and with your mom, it was more of a liberal approach, whereas with my parents, and I want to say, all of it comes from a place of love. It's just executed differently because of how their experiences shaped their thinking. It could have, with my parents, it could have come as wrath and fury, but it all stemmed from a place of love. Love in the sense that they wanted to protect me from things. Love in the sense that they probably don't want me to be exploited or manipulated because of what they have seen, either from their siblings or from their own experiences as well. Maybe it would have been helpful had they given a why. Because then that would have encouraged the conversation. But to parents who will always see you as a child, or in their eyes, it will not come naturally to them to try and foster a conversation and have a conversation with you about something as sensitive as a romantic relationship.
And this actually highlights something else that we're talking about in terms of relationships, but also with parents and meeting family. Is the older we get, the more we get to realize the differences in how we were brought up. The differences in how our parents were brought up, what shaped their ideals, what shapes our ideals. And it's also an opportunity to, I guess, work through some of the hurts that may have occurred previously and have grace for your parents, because like you've just mentioned, it is out of love. It is out of love for wanting to protect you from things and wanting you to do well, but the execution is different. So when especially for some reason, there comes a time whereby romantic relationships bring up these issues. So it is something that we'll chat about at depth in terms of what we experienced when we are in the process of getting married. But these are some of the things that shaped our ideology on how we wanted our parents to meet our potential spouses. And you may have a few things to chat about over and about the fact that, hi mom, hi dad, I'm dating. It might spark a conversation of deeper underlying issues. So just be open to that, and also just be aware that even though your parents might seem like they're coming a bit too harsh, there's a reason why their thinking is like that. So given the experience or experiences we just sort of kind of lightly touched on how we introduced ourselves, or each other, rather not ourselves, how we introduced each other to our parents or our families, would you have done it differently? No and yes.
Okay.
So no, in the sense that I love how everything turned out.
Perfect.
The way things turned out is that it was so helpful in the build up to our wedding and also in our marriage today, whereby people are building on a relationship and it kind of didn't need to start from scratch in terms of knowing you. So my cousins all know you, a lot of my aunts and uncles all know you. And it wasn't like a very cold start whereby building a relationship with my parents was concerned, and vice versa. So there are moments whereby building as friends allowed us to just have a normal relationship with the parents. One of the things that really helped was because now we had this friendship moment, your parents were able to see me, and then by the time that you had this uncomfortable discussion, I'm surely there must have been a cushion of, oh no, but we know this guy. This is the type of person you are talking about, you know. And also on my side, when it came up that this is the discussions that my family is going to have with your family, the rest of the cousins were like, okay, no, we know her, you know, we know her, she's cool. But even then, the elders who had known you as a friend were also like, okay, no, we know her. We've actually seen her around, and we've seen the type of person that she is, the type of character that you bring, you know, the happiness that you bring into the room, those kind of things. So it does help. So that's what I wouldn't change.
Okay.
What I would change, and again, this comes back to the dynamic that the relationship between parent and child is, there is some helpful things that our parents can deposit into our lives when it comes to relationships. Now, unfortunately, because of the differences in background and the different ideologies about dating and relationships, there are certain aspects that I think we never got access to. So if I'm talking to my dad, for example, if we are of the same school of thought, I really think that I could have picked up leadership in a home and see what that would have modeled, moving from dating into the desire to getting married. And I say if we're of the same ideology because, you know, I'm fully immersed in scripture and what scripture says the head of the home looks like.
Yeah.
But if you are in a position whereby, like your dad is a pastor, he would have followed the same sort of biblical principles. Yeah. And so if I was maybe in your shoes, perhaps having a discussion about dating, you know, how long does one date? Yeah. How do you prepare yourself for being a spouse in the dating phase? I think there's so much wisdom that our parents would have perhaps been able to say, avoid this, you know, do this. Yeah. So the yes is with a caveat. It comes with the dynamics of your existing relationship with your parents. Yeah. And that's something that I'd like to encourage more. If someone is young looking to date and you do have a good relationship with your parent,
involve your parents.
It may be worth involving them to a certain degree. Yeah.
And we're not saying let the parent be a third person, but you do need a lot of pouring into from a person that can impart wisdom to you. You don't want to learn as you go when you have access to a well of wisdom that can help you from potentially falling into pits that are unnecessary.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So that's my no and yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
I mean, I would not change a thing. Never. I mean, if the dynamic were to remain the same or were to remain the way it was back then, oh, definitely, I'd do it the same way. The same way I did it now, because there's no other way. But if we had a more open a more open relationship between parent and child, I definitely would have done it differently.
Yeah.
I probably would have spoken of you while we were friends. I didn't need to wait for an event to take place to introduce you. I would have just had a conversation with my parents, with my parents to say that there's a guy I met and we have so much in common and he loves Jesus and his background is like A, B, and C and I think I like him. Yeah, and just hear their thoughts about it. Yeah, if we had that kind of relationship, definitely would have involved him in the beginning, but we're fighting against principalities and other forces.
So these things happen.
So
So now that we spoke about what would be different
Yeah.
if we were to do things differently.
Yeah.
What did you appreciate about just being known as a friend after you've met my family in that context? Okay.
Well, you know, guys, as a girlfriend to a black boy from a black family, it is nice to not be known as that, because you can attend events and just be there, just exist. There's no obligation of anything. But I think even for a girlfriend, there's no obligation. Actually, there shouldn't be an obligation for a girlfriend to be in the kitchen. You're a girlfriend. Why are you doing fiance and wife duties?
Yeah.
Firstly, I appreciated how close you are with your brothers, because then that helped ease me into getting to know the family. It felt like whenever I went to your cousin events, I already had people who knew me, who I would have conversations with. Yeah, so when I met them, it just felt like I'm meeting your friends. A whole bunch of friends.
Yeah.
Because I first met them at a wedding. Yeah, first met them at a wedding, and they seemed excited to meet me. As they had heard of me. That's how it felt for me. So I appreciated that. And with my mother in Lurv, I met her for the first time when Mr. Habster was preaching on campus at the church that we met at.
Good old campus ministry.
So it was his day to preach that day, and good old mommy in love showed up with a friend of hers just to show support to Mr. Habster. And then after the service, I helped her and her friend get a coffee and some young biscuits while they were waiting for Mr. Habster, because a lot of people went to speak to Mr. Habster after the preach. So somebody had to keep them company. So that's how I first met her in person. Yeah, so she had heard of me, she knew me, but yeah. Anyway, what I appreciated about that is that, yeah, there was no pressure to perform. She just got to know me for me. Our conversations were also organic.
Yeah.
We spoke about worship, we spoke about life on campus, spoke about life on campus and Jesus. So yeah, I'd say I appreciated the ease of getting to know each other, or the ease into the conversations with the family members I had met at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I feel like your brothers knew though, would say I'm not a friend.
Yeah, because
They knew I'm not just a friend, I'm a friend.
yeah, because
It's your brothers.
yeah. They know, guys. They knew. No, but that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
I appreciated
cool.
the love, man. Yeah. Like you can feel it with your family. It's there.
Oh.
The brothers.
Now, also, I'm glad you found that love, and yeah, love it. I also, from my side, appreciated the fact that, again, no titles, no expectations. People can just know me as just as I am, and I appreciated the fact that even when I did meet your parents as a collective, so I had met Mrs. Habster's dad one time in Joburg. It was in between semesters, and you were coming back, so I briefly met your dad. That was the first time, and because now I'm just a friend, I'm able to just show respect based on how I was raised, not like it's an act.
Yeah, it would have come across as an act, even though you were being genuine.
Yeah. So that's just how it is. And at the time that I first met your mom and your brother, because at this point I had already met your sister. At the time I met your mom and your brother, it was I had to accompany you. Funny story. very quick. But I had to accompany you.
We'll get into that story in the next episode.
Yeah, we'll
make this episode very long. So
yeah. So I had to accompany you for the first time when you had to drive home.
My first long distance drive.
Your first long distance drive. So, and even then, because now I didn't have this title, I was a nervous wreck. But, you know, I think having just being a friend to your mom, and to your brother didn't necessarily set a tone of, hey, this guy, go back home. I was planning on going and coming back. It allowed to just organically build a relationship and to show respect that I was taught towards elders without it needing to be like, oh my gosh, what must I do now? And it was just organic. So I appreciated that we were able to build organically the relationship.
Okay.
The last thing that we would then chat about is the encouragement to involve your parents in the dating phase or earlier, to involve them earlier within the timeline of the relationship. So, and we actually got a question on previous episode which slightly touches on this, but we won't be able to answer it in fullness, but we'll touch on what we can currently.
So the question is, at what stage of the relationship did you tell your folks about it, and how did you go about telling them?
Very excellent question.
That's a really good question.
Really good question. So I guess our encouragement, and now because our story is very closely linked to when we're starting proceedings for actually getting married, so we won't be able to answer in full
on this episode.
But the one thing that we want to make sure is, we've spoken about the dynamics of relationships between yourself and your parents, and that's all driven from wanting to make sure that we honor our parents in all that we do. And that can be taken from Exodus chapter 20, verse 12, which is a commandment to honor your father and mother so that you may live long in the land that God has given you. So honoring your parents is so important, and it comes with a promise from God. That's how important it is.
To God also. It's important to God that we honor our parents.
Correct. So that is the basis of how you approach it. If you tell them at this stage or whichever stage it is. We not, all of this that we're saying is not prescribed, is not a prescription to anybody out there. We're just sharing our experience and what informs it, and the scripture is front and center of that. We want to be honoring to our parents.
And even if you find yourself in a situation where you do not know how to bring it up, when to bring it up, you do not know how to honor the parents in bringing it up, my advice would be to first and foremost honor God, because I was in the situation where I didn't know when to bring it up, how to bring it up. So my default was to then honor God, because that would inform or steer how I honor my parents. So that by the time I tell my parents, I would not have a lingering feeling of me potentially pretending to them, but I know for a fact that I'm bringing this to them knowing full well that God approves, because I honored God in this relationship. I strived for holiness in this relationship. I put all measures in place that were required for me to put in this relationship in order for my gaze to still be fixed on God, right? I'm not putting a facade. This is it. What you see is what you get. This is actually how this relationship is. That I'm presenting to you as my parents. So if you're struggling with a tough dynamic with your parents, number one, honor God in what you're currently doing. And when the time is right for you to bring it up with your parents, you will be able to bring it up in a way that honors them that honors God by how you honor them.
Yeah.
That'll inform your approach. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I really do hope it does. We will get in the coming episodes. We're gonna share at which point we broke the dating relationship to our parents. But we hope that it helps in sort of formulating or giving an underlying principle somewhat to your question. And to everyone else who has questions, please feel free to drop it in the comment section.
Please.
We love to engage.
We do. Oh no, we do, guys. We love your questions. We love your comments. They help us as well know what to engage with you guys on.
And they also help us to reflect.
They help us to reflect. They do.
They help us to reflect.
They do.
So with that being said, that brings us to the end of today's episode.
Boo-hoo!
Meeting the families. We hope that you have enjoyed it thus far. We hope that it has blessed you. Or challenged or something. Something. And looking forward to sharing more of our journey on the next episode.
Yes! Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Do not forget to drop your thoughts in the comment section. And if you feel like you have friends or family members who could benefit from this, feel free to share it to them too. That is also free.
Yes. So, with that being said, we will say goodbye. Au revoir. Peace out.
Au revoir.
And see you on the next one.
Tot ziens. Bye. Bye.
Okay, sharp.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.